Good morning, and welcome to Redeemer Lutheran Church. I'm Pastor Gary Lodeholt. This is probably as good a place as any to mention that there's a phrase going around that I really don't like. I see it a lot on Facebook as someone is facing an illness or a tough time. They will invite prayer for themselves or for a friend by calling on their prayer warriors. I cringe every time I see that phrase. I know what they mean. They mean that they would like the people who are willing to pray for them to pray. And that part's okay. But the part that isn't okay is the sense that we have to assault God with our prayers. It implies that God doesn't want what is good for us, and we have to break down the walls of God's resistance and inundate God with the arrows of our prayers. It also implies that the point of prayer is to get God to do our will, when the truth is that prayer is a whole lot more about getting us in line with God's will. The God I believe in is eager to do good for us, and so I really don't like that term prayer warriors at all. That phrase came to mind this week because we're looking at Ephesians 6, where St. Paul describes the whole armor of God. St. Paul is describing how the Holy Spirit equips us for spiritual warfare with the forces of evil and darkness. And today we come to the piece of equipment that St. Paul calls the shield of faith. I don't believe our soldiers today really use shields that they carry on their arms, but when Paul wrote this, the world as they knew it was full of Roman soldiers. Those soldiers did carry shields into battle, but what many of us may not realize is that there were at least two different kinds of shields. There was the small, round shield that gave protection from a sword swinging your way, and it allowed for maximum flexibility, agility, and movement for the soldier. But the other kind of shield was larger, almost body length, and it had a very special use. As they marched into battle, the enemy across the field would shoot flaming arrows at the approaching legions. These full-length shields offered protection from those flaming arrows. So we need to have that in mind as we look again at what St. Paul said. With all of these, take the shield of faith with which you will be able to quench all the flaming arrows of the evil one. And I think here, Paul is getting down to the nitty-gritty of our spiritual warfare. Paul was convinced that the forces of evil and darkness were actively sending harm our way. Illness, death, troubles, sorrow, all these and more were evil's way of trying to turn us away from God. But the shield offers protection from such flaming arrows. And I think we should note that it is a shield of faith. It is our faith that protects us. It is our faith that we cling to, which enwraps us in the folds of safety. It is our faith that we hold unwavering, that keeps us safe and united with God. Maybe the shield we need most is knowing that we are loved by God. Maybe our shield is being caught up in God's grace. God fights on our side, and we are held now and forever in God's hand. That's the best shield of all. Thanks for watching, and remember to let this day belong to God.